How's it going, my festive bakers? Hope your Christmas season is going well so far. Welcome back to another video. Today we're making sticky toffee pudding, so let's get in the kitchen and see how it's done. We have made some awesome classic UK sweet treats in the past. Tea cakes, scones, bakewell tart and shortbread amongst others, all of which can be found in the pastry and cakes playlist on my channel. Sticky toffee pudding is one of the classics that I had not tried making before. It is a rich cake made with dates, dark sugar and black treacle. After baking, the cake is covered in a toffee sauce and left to soak it up, and then it is topped with more sauce when it's served. It is incredibly rich and sweet, but light and moreish at the same time. And it's extremely easy to make, so let's get right to it. Let me show you what we need. For the cake itself, we'll need some dates, dark brown sugar, butter, eggs, milk, self-raising flour, baking powder and baking soda, and some black treacle. If you're in the US, your best bet will be using molasses. I know there are various types, but whichever one is commonly used for cakes is the one you want to use. For the toffee sauce, we'll need some sugar, butter, double cream, also known as heavy cream. We'll also need vanilla paste or vanilla essence and more black treacle or molasses. As for the equipment, we'll need a bowl, scales, a spatula, a whisk. We'll need some molds for baking. I have these individual cupcake tins. You'll find their measurements in the written recipe below. You can use various baking vessels for this recipe. The size and shape of this cake is totally up to you. You could even bake it as a loaf and then slice it into individual portions. It's just a cake mix, there's nothing special about it. There's one more thing that we need, and that is a small pan for cooking the sauce. With all the ingredients and equipment out the way, let's make some cake. And it all begins with preparing the dates. You can buy dates in various forms. They could still have the stone in, or they could be pitted like the ones I'm using. Or you could buy chopped dates. The more whole the product, the more you have to process it. To save yourself the effort, you can just buy chopped dates. But they are usually drier. Of course we will be soaking them, so I guess it wouldn't make too much of a difference. I decided to go with the middle option, by getting pitted dates, which have the stones removed, so the only thing I had to do is chop them up. Right, once the dates have been chopped up, place them in a small bowl, and pour over an equal amount of boiling water, and then leave them on the side to soak for at least 20 minutes, but you could also leave them overnight, it's up to you. If you're making the cake on the same day, you can start preheating the oven whilst the dates are soaking. Set it to 170 Celsius or 340 Fahrenheit fan on, or 190 Celsius, 375 Fahrenheit fan off. Whilst the oven's preheating, we start preparing our baking tins, and you definitely need to do this, otherwise the cake will stick. First, give the tins a light coating of butter. Then take a handful of flour, sprinkle it inside, and then move the tin around to coat the whole surface. Once it's all evenly covered, transfer the flour to the next tin and repeat. Obviously this will only work with individual little molds like I have. If you're going to use a regular 6 or 8 hole muffin tin, then just chuck a bunch of flour in each hole, shake it all around, and then turn the tray upside down and knock out any excess flour. Make sure that there is no excess flour left over. The coating should look nice and smooth. If it doesn't, then knock the tray a few more times. Okay, let's move on to making the batter. In a large bowl, combine the sugar, the softened butter, the black treacle or molasses, and the eggs. And then whisk everything up. Then add the soaked dates together with the liquid and add the milk and whisk again. And then finally, add the flour, the baking soda and the baking powder and whisk one more time. It's not a standard cake, so there is no need to whip up the butter and sugar. And there is no need for adding the eggs one by one and whisking them in. We are not trying to incorporate any air in this mix. It will puff up and become nice and light and airy thanks to the self-raising flour, the baking powder and the baking soda. In fact, once you've finished whisking this thing, it will not look like cake batter at all. It will be very wet and runny, but don't get alarmed, that's exactly how it should be. Don't at any point get tempted to add any extra flour to this. It does not need it. You can pour this mix from a jug, you can spoon it into your baking tin, but I have this piping bag so I'm going to use it. It will make the portioning process a little bit easier and potentially less messy. Right, the oven's preheated, the cake mix is ready. Let's distribute it evenly between our molds and get it in the oven. I don't bake cakes for myself very often. I'm mostly baking them to make a video. And I bake a lot of work too, but that's for customers. I had never tried making a sticky toffee pudding until a couple of weeks ago. But as soon as I tried a piece, I couldn't stop eating it. And it was super popular with my work colleagues and my customers too. I don't know what it is about it, but it's so easy to eat. And you don't feel like you've had enough until it's too late and you've had too much. Right, once you're done filling your molds, give them a little tap to ensure that everything's nice and even, and to knock out any air bubbles just in case. Okay, these guys are ready for the oven, so let's get them in there. They'll take around 25 minutes to fully bake. Once they're all nicely dark brown and puffed up, they're ready. I placed my tray on the lowest rack in my oven. I like to keep the tops further away from the heating element to prevent them from browning too soon. Okay, let's get these babies out and leave them to cool down for around 20 minutes. Once they are cool enough to handle, they can be removed from the molds. And because we prepared the molds properly, they will come out easily, they'll be nice and clean, and they will have perfectly smooth sides. I'll leave these bad boys on the side. Let's move on to making the sauce. I have a mix of white sugar and dark brown sugar. That's only because I ran out of dark brown sugar. You can use any sugar or any mix of sugars that you like for this sauce. Drop the sugar in a small pan, add the butter, add the vanilla, add the molasses or treacle, and the double cream. And just as with the cake, this sauce is extremely easy to make. All we have to do is to combine all the ingredients in a small pan, set the pan on high heat, bring it up to a boil, and from the point that it starts actively boiling and bubbling, we need to boil it for 2 minutes. There is nothing else to it. Once the timer is up, we can remove the sauce from the heat and use it immediately. In fact, the hotter, the better. We want the cake to really soak it up. Place your puddings in the tray and turn them upside down. Start by spooning the sauce on the bottom of each pudding. Give each one of them a couple of tablespoons, spread it around, let it drip down the sides. Once you have covered the bottoms of all the puddings with sauce, you can pick them up one by one and then roll them around in the excess sauce on the tray. Make sure all the sides are covered, and then turn the puddings the right way up again. And now all there is left to do is to cover the tops. And because the sides are already covered, 1 tablespoon on each will be sufficient. Pour it on slowly and spread it out so it covers the surface evenly. And you'll notice that there's quite a bit of sauce left over. We're going to use the remaining sauce when we go to serve the puddings. It is so delicious that you will definitely want more of it. But if you're not like me and you do have self-control, then you could halve the recipe for the sauce and make just enough for soaking the puddings, because the recipe will be complete without the extra sauce. And it would still be a very good cake without any sauce at all. But I guess because I don't eat cakes very often, when I do eat them, I like to go all out. To each their own, of course. You can make up your own mind. Whatever you decide to do, the result will be absolutely delicious. And people will ask you to make this again. Oh, and by the way, this could also be served hot with a bowl of ice cream. I've never had it like that, but I can imagine it would be very good. Hot pudding with a cold melty ice cream, extra sauce on top. Yeah, I must try that sometime. So what do you think of this recipe? Have you ever tried making sticky toffee pudding before? Let me know down in the comments. If you want to see videos like this one, click over here. Subscribe to the channel, click right here. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.